The purpose of this video is to explain the teaching styles Corey Tanner used in an average day within an extension training. This presentation was recorded and edited by Ryan Okey and Sarah Adams for the Adult Education course Ag Ed 8210. Meet Corey Tanner, an extension agent in Pickens County specializing in horticulture. Corey is a Clemson alum and has worked in Pickens County for many years. Corey was asked to speak to the Pickens County maintenance crews about weed management. This course was one of the few topics the county wants their employees to be exposed to, as they need to be made aware of proper application of pesticides and herbicides throughout the county to ensure the safety of themselves and the public. The class lasted about an hour. I'll give you an overview of Corey's class. First, Corey started out by introducing the main topic as well as himself and the importance of the topic for the day. He spoke about the importance of weed identification, what is a weed, what defines a weed. Then he went on to explore the topics of runoff, erosion, and aquatic protection. Lastly, he explained the importance of using the best management practices and application for each particular situation. Corey exhibits many examples of good teaching styles, but during this particular class, on this particular day, he showed great examples of the teaching theory androgyny. Androgyny has a few key characteristics, one of which is drawing on the life experiences of the learners. Corey shows great examples of these that you will be shown later, where he made himself present within the county and how preserving the resources within the county was so very important for everyone's livelihood. He also focused on a problem-centered approach. So Corey showed examples of where problems had happened in the past and how those things were fixed with proper use of pesticides, herbicides within the category of weed management. He also draws on self-directedness. So he showed the students a problem and showed them how to properly fix those problems within their everyday working environment. The next clip is an example of Corey introducing himself and allowing the learners to buy into the class. He makes the topic seem relevant to the participants.
Good morning to each of you. Glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. I'd like to start out by saying, as a Pickens County resident, thank you for what you do, keeping our county in shape and looking nice. And I really appreciate it. I enjoy a lot of the county facilities and appreciate what y'all do. We've got a cold water stream that supports trout. Okay, they're very sensitive to water quality, and this is one I caught in Pickens County. I don't know if any of you like to catch trout in Pickens County, but certainly that's one reason to maintain good water quality. The title of this talk was Weed Management for Sensitive Areas, and I wanted to find what sensitive areas mean momentarily. But first, I thought we would start out by describing what is a weed. Start at the beginning, if you will. So a weed is basically the simplest definition that we commonly use as a plant out of place.
Now that Corey has first made a connection with the learners and has struck their interest, he now tries to involve the learners in the presentation by a question and answer session. Note his positive feedback to the right answers.
Generally, when you hear somebody say invasive weeds, we generally mean a non-native plant or an exotic plant that causes economic or environmental harm. So what are some examples of invasive weeds? Kudzu, that's a great area. What do I mean by sensitive areas? Well, sensitive areas are anywhere that can be impacted by our actions negatively.
Another aspect of androgyny is the problem-centered approach. We will now observe Corey discussing and exhibiting pictures to show the problems with erosion. By doing this, he is doing multiple things. First, he is engaging two of the three learning styles, visual and auditory. Second, he is linking the pictures of highly eroded areas to Pickens County, the area the entire audience lives in and is responsible for.
We'll talk about it from basically the dangers of herbicide use, and then we're going to back off and say how should we use herbicides more correctly and what are alternatives to herbicides. These are two different pictures. You might not be able to tell what they are. But one of those pictures was taken in Pickens County, and one of them was taken in the Badlands of South Dakota. Okay, if you went back to the 1930s here, you would notice that most of our land was highly eroded, like the Badlands of South Dakota. And I don't know if any of you've been there, but I was there this summer, and it's a massive gully erosion. It's naturally occurring. But what our land looked like in the 1930s in upstate South Carolina was not natural. It was due to human influence. It was because we came in and plowed all the land.
As the class continues, Corey still has maintained the audience's attention. He is still focusing on a problem-centered approach, remembering to explain why we do or don't do things a certain way. Very important of an extension agent, who's the liaison between the science backed by the university and the public.
So we don't want to over-mulch. Volcano mulching, as we call it, where you mulch a big old pile up around the tree. It actually causes disease problems, decay, and girdling roots and other problems in our trees and shrubs. So that's a situation that we want to avoid.
As the class continues, Corey's subject matter changes from basic knowledge, for example, the definition of a weed, to practical application of pesticides, erosion management tools, and related topics. By the conclusion of the class, Corey has came full circle, making sure to have smooth transitions between each new idea. Corey's classroom environment was always open for questions and relaxed, something many and most adult learning environments should be. The classroom could have been set up a little bit better to foster a more productive learning environment, such as a better projector and lighting, neither which were Corey's design. Let's do a quick review. Typical for androgyny, there was a need for the topics to be taught, and in this case, it was a requirement for county employees. The instruction should be task-oriented. Although the class was in a classroom environment, Corey designed his presentation to describe the task that needed to be learned, and more importantly, why they had to be done a specific way. Lastly, the instruction was problem-centered, and the students could discover things for themselves. Each student could put to use the information they learned during the class that morning immediately that day.